Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time joining, thank you. If you are a previous subscriber or you are a new subscriber or even coming from a previous video you have viewed on my channel, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about a few things I've been working on since I posted the thread haul video, and I think I've done maybe one or two shorts. And okay, so this project isn't going as well as I wanted it to, and I will tell you what it is in just a moment, but I want to explain a few things first. So I had purchased this pattern, and it was going to be for a friend of mine who I've adopted her as my mother, and this was going to be a gift for her. Well, I'm one of those types of people that when I make something and I'm going to gift it, I want it to be close to perfect as I can get it, because I know I'm capable of producing work that is that way. In my opinion. I know we are our worst critics when it comes to art or quilting or whatever we are doing. So what has happened is I started making this project, and I'm one of those people that I always say in my video that I'm going to include mistakes in the video so that way you guys can learn from them. But I'm telling you, there were so many mistakes that I was making that if I would have edited and posted that video, because I'm one of those that I don't edit. I just kind of get the video set up in the right format so I can upload it to YouTube. I'm a non-editing editor of my videos. And what that is I don't cut clips out. I don't remove the mistakes from my videos. I keep them in there so you guys can learn from them, and I try to show you how to correct those mistakes. And I've had a lot of you guys comment on that they really appreciate that, because it shows you how to work through them if they happen to you. Okay, so what I was making is a in the hoop wallet. Now, when I was making it, I was filming everything for you guys. I was filming it. I was showing you all the embroidery on the machine here, everything. And I'm going to show you some of the mistakes that were happening here. But the reason why I completely deleted almost 3.5, maybe 4 hours of video and work and mistakes was because there were so many mistakes happening that I did not want to put everybody through, 30 minutes or an hour of video that you're watching that is just going to be full of mistakes, because there were so many happening and I was getting super frustrated. So I did not want to have you guys sit through that, because it was just it was ridiculous. Okay, so when you start a project, they tell you to read the directions for a reason. Whether you're painting and you have to read how to use the certain paints, or if you are constructing a clothing garment, you're going to read through that pattern so you know what you're doing. Same with quilts. You're going to read through them so you know how to cut your fabric, how to prep your fabric, whether you're going to trim certain spots or, press your seams to one direction. Those directions are all in there for reasons, because it's going to produce it's going to help you produce your project in a, I don't know if you want to say proper, more aesthetic, it's just going to help you construct the project in a better way. So like when you are making a quilt, you're going to press your seams a certain way, because when you go and sew additional seams in those spots later, it's going to prevent bulk in those areas. So there's that. What I did when I was making this project is I was confident, I thought I was confident enough to go ahead and make the project because I've seen other people doing it. And I had the directions there, but I was going step by step and I was not reading ahead a few steps. And that really messed me up. Now I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is basically the front of the wallet, and when it's constructed, it's going to fold down like so. And for those of you that are not familiar within the hoop designs, you'll think, okay, that looks pretty good so far. It looks great. Well, there's a lot of mistakes on here. And I'm going to show you what those are in just a moment. When you're constructing it, you construct these little flaps first, and I'm going to show you what happened. So this is all new fabric here that I have cut for this project. So when I finish the one with all the mistakes in it, hopefully when I come back to make the second one, I'm not going to make those same mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to set the fabric aside that I've cut for the correct project. Okay, so when you are in your machine, it's going to tell you this particular pattern has 4 or 5 different files in it that you're going to do project file 1, and that is going to be this portion, and that is these flaps in the wallet. And these flaps are going to eventually create where your pockets are in your wallet. So what happened with this is when I was stitching it out, you're going to do a piece of fabric on the back and you're going to do a piece of fabric on the front. So this was the front side. And when I was following my pattern, I thought I was doing well. And I'm going to flip through here really quickly here so I can show you what I mean. I should have had this ready. I'm really sorry. Okay. So when you're constructing, it's going to tell you file 1. And it's going to show you when either you print your steps out, or if you're looking on your computer screen, it's going to have PDF files for you. So you can bring that up and you can follow step by step. Because uploading the design into your machine, whether you're on your USB or you're able to connect by Wi-Fi, it's going to have your directions for you. That does not have them in your machine. The additional steps that you need to do for your in the hoop projects. Okay, so I have learned a lot just in this one project about what to do and what not to do. I'm really sorry. You might hear Luna the Crafty Kitty crying in the background. I've got my sewing room door closed. So anyway, when you are starting your project, you're going to have a lot of things to do besides what's in your embroidery machine. So it's going to show you how to hoop, how to do your placement lines. Like this one is a placement line stitched out on the stabilizer. It's going to show you all that kind of stuff, sure, in your designs, but if you're just looking at your embroidery unit, you're not going to know what each one of those steps are unless you're looking at your directions. So this is where I say read ahead in your directions, because this is where I failed to. I was stitching along and I got to this portion and it tells you, you know, what you're going to do. So I'm going along and everything, and I'm stitching out the arcs. And that's what this looks like here. Now the reason most people may think, okay, this looks great. This looks really good. No. Okay. And the reason why this does not look good is because I failed to do this step here. So when you're stitching a certain step, it does in the machine for this particular seller and designer, she has some different colors in your stitching, but it does tell you you can make your embroidery in one color, which okay, but I was doing that and I'm like, okay, so I did that and everything and I stitched that out and I'm like, oh, okay, this looks really great, I really like this. But when I got to this step, I failed to read this step here. I just kind of went from the stitching to the next step of that. And what that was is that I failed to cut off the excess material around the semicircular spots here. And I kind of showed you, I'm showing you here in this little step, I should have cut the fabric off before I stitched color 4, which would have been color 4 in your machine. But if you're using the same colors, don't let the different colors confuse you. Follow along with your steps. But what it does is it does a kind of like a knockdown stitch. And if you're familiar with machine embroidery, you'll understand what that is. But what that is, for those that don't, is it's kind of like a placement stitch that is going to let you build your satin stitch up. So what I did is I stitched the zigzag stitch and then I'm like, okay, that's looking really great. I'm really happy with it. I went ahead to the next step without removing the hoop and cutting off my fabric. For those of you that are familiar with applique projects, machine embroidery in the hoop applique projects, you'll know that you have to cut away the excess fabric. And the reason why you do that is like how you can see here. Let me bring this up a little and show you. If you can see here, the edges of my fabric are fraying. Okay, so what that stitch did here, the zigzag stitch that you stitched down in I believe it was step 3, what that does is that lets you then go to your fabric and cut off all the excess fabric around it. And you can see in this little area, I hope you guys can see that okay, it's really kind of hard to see. See that little bit of fraying? Now what that does is that prevents that from happening. So if I would have followed my directions between step 3 and 4, this actually should have been step 3.5, but it doesn't say that in the directions. That's why I'm telling you, please read ahead in your directions. So I guess basically what this video is I'm trying to do is to follow your directions so you don't have big upsets like I had. Okay, so that zigzag stitch, stop, take the hoop off the machine. You're not going to unhoop your stabilizer. Don't unhoop your stabilizer, leave it all in the hoop. Then you're going to take your applique scissors or whatever scissors you can use to get as close to that zigzag stitch as possible to trim that excess fabric away. You're going to trim it on the front and you're going to trim it on the back. So then what you're going to do, then after you trim the fabric, you're going to place your hoop back into your machine and you're going to stitch this really nice satin stitch. I didn't do that. Would it have been okay if I would have just continued and finished this step? Sure, it would have for some people. The reason why they have you do that is because if I would not have, if I would have continued with this, it would not have been aesthetically pleasing, basically. So that's what that step is preventing. So I could not get as close to as I wanted to this satin stitch trimming. and it would have left a frayed edge on the edge of this wallet, and it would just not have looked nice. It would not have looked as pretty. It would not look as finished. So this is just kind of like a finishing step in your design. So that was my first mistake. So I skipped that step 3.5 in between the 3 and the 4. That was really an important step to make your project look more professional and more aesthetically pleasing. So that was that big mistake. So what I did is I started over, I cut my fabric, and these are 2 layers of fabric. So what I did is I started all over again. I did that and I stitched out pieces nicely. I used a tearaway stabilizer, and you can still kind of see the white here. And I think what I'm going to be doing when I make the next wallet, this one's going to be for myself because it's just the mock-up to get me used to what the pattern's going to be. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be using a wash-away stabilizer. And what that's going to do, I have a really nice kind of visual for. So in this part of the wallet, when it did all the stitching and this satin stitch all around here, I used the water soluble. Then when I removed it from the excess stabilizer, I was able to kind of melt the edges of the water soluble with just a paintbrush dipped in water on the sides, because I did not want to put the whole thing in water because I don't want to melt the excess stabilizer that's inside, because it's giving the wallet structure. So I like the stiffness of it. I didn't want it really flimsy. I liked that on there. But in some of these edges, you can see there's a little thread there, which isn't bad. I can trim when I trim the excess fabric away before I do that satin stitch, I want to make sure that all those little threads that are on these edges, when you cut the fabric, and what showed right there, those little ones there, I want to make sure that those are all off. What you can do in before, if you have some fabric fusion, which is just a permanent fabric, or if you have like fray check or something, I don't know the exact word, but there's like a fabric fray check thing that you can put on your edges to prevent that fabric from fraying. So you can see that there's just a couple. And on this, let's see which side. On this side, you can see that I had a lot more of the little white threads sticking out from the fabric, and it just didn't finish as nicely. So I want to make sure that when I do the next wallet, those are going to be really nice. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a minute because poor little Luna kitty outside my door is meowing her head off. So I'm going to pause for a minute and let her in. Give me just a moment. Okay, sorry about that little interruption. I didn't realize it was as late as it was, and my husband's in the kitchen making dinner, so Luna wanted her food, and she wasn't taking no for an answer that he was giving her because he was telling her it's not ready to eat yet. So, okay. So I was telling you about how to do your little edges here, things like that. So that was that mistake. This was my first big mistake. So then what happened is I proceeded on to stitching the body of the wallet. And now I'm going to advance through my little directions here. And I'm going to get to that point. And of course, now you're going to again rehoop some stabilizer, and I highly recommend the water soluble. She gives you the option of using a tearaway or a water soluble. The water soluble definitely does make a better looking project in the end because you can melt those edges of the stabilizer around the edge. And like you saw here, These are all white because I used the tearaway stabilizer. And I don't know if I can fix that by maybe wetting these as well, but I didn't want to do that yet because I wanted to be able to show you what that tearaway edge would look like. You, in theory, you could use all white thread and it would hide that, but if you're going to be making a project and you're going to be using colored thread, you wouldn't want that white to show later. Anyway, so our next step was to hoop our stabilizer, and again, I would highly recommend the water soluble. And then you're going to do your placement stitch, so it tells you how to do all that. And this part went really well because I learned from the previous mistakes to read ahead of my directions. So I was doing that. You're going to do your placement stitch, then you're going to put your interfacing and do another placement stitch down. And in my first mistakes, this one, well, it wasn't so much as a mistake, but I was using a 80-20, 80 cotton, 20% polyester batting. That batting was fine. There's no problems with it. So I was using that. And so I did that next step. And then I took my top fabric. I'm sorry. I skipped a step again. Sorry. So when you put your batting down, before you put your batting down, you are going to make sure you, let's see, let me make sure I am correct because I don't want to be making those mistakes again. Okay, so you're going to do your placement stitch, then you're going to remove your hoop and machine from the machine, and you're going to turn to the back side. You're going to place the interfacing fabric face up on the back of your hoop, which this was your interfacing fabric. And then you're going to either attach it with a masking tape or your quilt basting spray, or you can use, I started using some wash away glue stick. So I did that. I stitched my placement lines, as you can see here. You can see those, the arcs right here, and that is going to be later for you to correctly place these. And you can see those there kind of faded, or not faded, but they're kind of like in the background there a little bit. So you can see those, and that's just to help you place these in future steps, future construction. And that's where also it's good to use the same color of thread because it just kind of blended in a little bit better. Okay, so in doing all of this, I did my placement stitches, and then I proceeded on, and my next step was to remove it from the hoop. We did the placement stitches, and that was this step. That's stitch, you're going to go to stitch color 2. Those were your placement stitches. Then you're going to, again, take it out of the machine, remove the hoop, and you're going to put your polyester batting on. So I did that, and that was this. And you can see that it's kind of sticky. You can kind of hear that. What I did is I was using my quilt basting spray. Now, depending on the kind of machine you have, if you have not used quilt basting spray, I would do some kind of practice pieces first to determine whether your machine is going to work with quilt basting spray, because some machines just do not like it and it won't stitch correctly. You'll have skipped stitches, your needle will gum up, things like that. This is the best quilt basting spray I have found that works with my machine, but then again, it does not work. So it tells you everything that it does here. Works for spray basting your quilt layers or embroidery. And that is where you're floating your pieces. So I did that. But what I did, so these were my next mistakes. I ended up doubling my layer of tearaway stabilizer. But to make my pieces easier to hoop, I just kind of folded one long piece in half and then did a light spray of my quilt basting spray. So my stabilizer would lay flat and be no ripples in it when I went to hoop it, and it would hoop good. So then when I got my interfacing fabric on to do that step, I used another light squirt of the quilt basting spray. So that would be the second layer. Then when I went to go mount my or attach my interfacing, I did another really light basting spray. Okay, so then when I go to do my top piece of where you're going to actually be doing the stitching like this, you can either use vinyl or fabric. So I purchased this vinyl from Amazon, and it's very similar to the marine vinyl I bought at Hobby Lobby, or I either bought it at Hobby Lobby or Joann's, and it's very similar. It's got like the fabric backing on it. And I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to just do a light spray on top so it sticks to the stabilizer, and I'm going to start my stitching. So I started the stitching, and then as you can see here, it started skipping stitches, and it happened. This is the first area that it started doing. So this is going to be in the hoop this way. So it's going to be stitching this part first, and this is, it orients itself in the hoop like this. So it started skipping stitches, and you can kind of see, can you see the little, I'm really sorry if you can't because of the lighting, but there's needle marks there where it wasn't even staying in the vinyl. So I know from previous experience with making key fobs and using marine vinyl that if I use just a hair too much of the quilt basting spray, my machine does not like it, and it won't stitch. It gums up my needle, it frays my thread, all that. So I said, okay, I'm going to start over. I got to start over because this just isn't going to work. I could not salvage this because there was already too much quilt basting spray on it. So I threw that one out of there. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go ahead and start over. So I proceeded through all of my steps. I did the, again, on this next one, I learned that we're going to do water-soluble stabilizer this time. I did 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer. You can see I was taping down instead of using the quilt basting spray this time. So then I decided I'm going to use, I have this type of, let me show you here, let me get the big section of it. I have this, which is Pellin Thermolam, and it's a thicker kind of stabilizer that will give purses, fabric baskets, that kind of thing, a little more structure. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and use that because since it is a wallet, I want something to be with some more structure and some stiffness so it has some body to it. So I switched to the Thermolam. Okay, so that is now what I have here. I did all that, stitched out really well, everything. I trimmed it all away. And again, I did not use any quilt basting spray on this step. So I got to that, had my nice piece of vinyl cut down. And if you've worked with fabric, with marine vinyl before in any kind of projects in purse making or embroidered key fobs, you'll know that the stuff's not cheap. If you buy it at Hobby Lobby or Joann's, it's like 21 something a yard. So that's not really cheap. That's expensive. Even though it is like 53 inches wide by 53 by 36 inches wide, it's expensive for 1 yard. That's expensive. Okay, so then what happened is I was stitching through and it started happening again where my thread was breaking. My thread was fraying, and I'm thinking, maybe it's the vinyl. Maybe my machine just does not like this vinyl. So what I did is scrap that one again. So now you can see where the frustration was coming in, the discouragement. I was getting really discouraged with this project, and truthfully, I'm still discouraged because it just wasn't turning out the way I wanted it to. And still, I have another roadblock. So for the fourth time, so the second time I constructed the arc pieces that are going to end up being where your sections in the wallet are. I did that. Then this time, this stitch out, you can see went a lot better. This was my third time, so I was praying, literally praying, third time's a charm. So when this was in the hoop and it's stitching out, she does say in the directions, and let me advance to those. So in this step here, she talks about in the directions that you're going to put your main fabric on, whether you're using a fabric or you're going to be using your vinyl. And it says, please note that in this model, there is no stitch that fixes the fabric to the stabilizer. So she's meaning this portion, that when you have the stabilizer down, there is no fixed stitch that's going to stitch to attach the vinyl down before you do this portion of stitching that's going to start the actual design. There's nothing that's going to hold that down. So you're definitely going to want to put some tape, or if your machine allows you to use your quilt basting spray, you are going to want to do that. Okay, so she tells you in that the reason why there is no stitch that's going to help attach that down and fix it there is because numerous tests of various fabrics that she has done have shown that some fabrics may move slightly while the embroidery, and therefore a fold can appear at the edge of the embroidery. So that is what happened to me. While I'm stitching out, it stitches all this portion out first, then it starts this part, and it stops here. It stopped in this portion, and then kind of came back up and started stitching all these really pretty little kind of like arcs here, these little sections. So it stitched down this way, stopped here, came back up, and started stitching these. Then it stitches everything out all the way down to the bottom, and then when it gets to this portion, it jumps down just a little bit and starts stitching this edge. Well, as this portion was stitching, this area was starting to wrinkle a little, and you can see those a little bit. But that's okay, because when you do your knockdown zigzag stitch to where you're going to trim everything away, the excess fabric away, it took care of that. It hid the puckers. And then when the satin stitch did, it didn't do this portion because I got a little overconfident. And you can see that nice, can you see that nice pucker right here? I don't want, to me, that's a big mistake. To some of you, you may think, okay, that's acceptable. It's not a big deal. It's not that noticeable. Well, to me, it just is. Am I wrong? Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Should I just continue? Would you gift that to somebody with that kind of mistake in it? It's not really a mistake. It's just a little flaw. But I didn't like it. Will it disappear in the construction when the wallet's constructed? Yeah, maybe. It's not going to show when the wallet's closed, but I don't want to put that kind of work out. So I went ahead, did the satin stitch because I'm thinking, okay, it's going to blend in, it's going to hide that. I didn't like it. So this portion of the project was done. That was file 3. So, and you know, it'll show you in your directions how it's stitching out. So then you're going to do all that, and then your next step before you remove this from the hoop is you're going to take it out of the hoop, out of the machine. You're going to leave it, the stabilizer and the piece in the hoop, and you're going to attach these down with some tape. And in the video I watched, I'll show you where you can find the video link if you purchase this pattern. She tapes these down with some clear, almost like packing tape, and then in the directions it shows you that there's some tabs left on the edge where you're not going to cut those off when you remove these arcs, these semicircular pieces from your stabilizer in that first step, because that's going to help attach these to this portion of the wallet. So that went really well. The attachment went really well. I was really pleased with the attachment. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to do your satin stitch all the way around it. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so I can see where that's happening. Then you're going to zigzag for the trimming, which that all was. Then you're going to cut off your excess fabric and trim everything. And you're going to trim the little tabs that were on here for attaching. And then you're going to do that stitch. Okay. Then the final part is then that main part of the body of the wallet is finished. So you're going to remove it from your hoop. And that part is done. So that was all file 2. Okay. That's a lot of steps for that portion. Then you're going to proceed on to 3, file 3. File 3 was the construction of this little pocket. And you can see that I got my zipper. And this went actually pretty well. Again, I would recommend water-soluble stabilizer in this one, because I did use tearaway. And the tearaway is going to kind of show in there a little bit because it's just hard to remove it. With the water-soluble stabilizer in this step, you can actually soak this in some water to get that out of there. The reason why I used the tearaway stabilizer in this is because it's giving some structure again to the little pocket, because if you're going to be putting money in here, things like that, it just kind of gave it a little bit of structure. So this one went really easy. This was file 3. And when you purchase this file, you're going to download all those. It's going to have, when you unzip it, it's going to have all your steps in there. I should have said that before, sorry. So that was file 3. That went really well. So later, when you construct it, you're going to be, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but you're going to be sewing this into the wallet. Either there, I'm not sure exactly which area it's going to have you do it. It might be this back one. It might be this front one. I have not read that far ahead yet, but it's going to be in one of those steps. And this is where your kind of building of the wallet's going to be coming up. But this went well. Okay, so before jumping too far ahead, so my next step was you're going to advance to step 4. And okay, so now step 4 has got you starting to construct your little pockets for where you're going to put the bank cards into your wallet. And let me show you on the pieces that I already, let's see, where are they? I don't think I pressed them for this one. Okay, I'm not sure where they are. Let me look just a moment. Okay, so I didn't prep these yet because I was going to work on this off camera. So in the wallet that I will be making to actually gift, step 4 is going to tell you that you're going to take 4 pieces of your fabric and you're going to fold them down 2 centimeters and press them. And this is where I started getting lost in the design, because in her printed directions it has you do that, and you're going to stitch your placement stitch. And maybe this is part where you guys can help me out a little bit and to maybe help me figure out what I might be missing. So this is your placement line for your design. And I hooped 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer. Then your next step is, it says you're going to remove the hoop from the machine, place your lining right side up, and fix with either glue or your adhesive tape. So it does show you 2 here, and it's just, I guess you're just going to take 2 pieces, and I don't know where my placement should be. Should I just put it just a little bit where it's covering the stitch line so you can see that it would have like that excess? Because I'm lost here, guys. I don't know, because in her pictures it shows larger pieces. So I don't know if she just like rough cut stuff, but in the directions it tells you that you're going to have 4 inches by 8 inch pieces. So I don't know how to place these correctly. So then you're going to remove your hoop from the machine. You're going to attach those. Then you're going to turn your hoop over to the wrong side, and you're going to attach. You're going to affix, so they're on there, 2 more pieces. Okay, so that's easy enough, I guess. I'm just putting them along the edge so I know where it's going to have enough to stitch there. But you can see in her directions it shows just a little bit larger pieces, and my gap is a lot wider than what she shows here. So then after that you're going to stitch your next color. Okay, so you're going to stitch that where it's going to attach these pieces down here. I'm decided to go ahead and use some scrap fabrics that I have, and you can kind of see a little bit of burning on it there, or where the starch was. I'm not worried about it because this is just going to be for me. I would never gift something like that. Okay, so you're going to stitch that, and it's going to attach these pieces. So you can see here, I'm really sorry if these are hard to see, but each one has kind of like a stitch all the way around it and then a line through the middle. Okay, so now then what you're going to do is you're going to take the 4 parts of the interface, take 4 parts of interfacing, fold each piece in half and iron it. So, okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to iron those down and then attach the folded side of the piece to the stitch. So it's going to be that stitch line there. So you're going to line that up and stitch. Okay, so that's understandable enough. And then you're going to proceed, and you are going to, okay, what's it say? I missed a little bit. Okay. So you're going to attach the folded side of the piece to that stitch line that's going to be in the middle. Fix the pieces with an adhesive tape. Arrange the second pocket in the same way, which would have been up here. Now it's showing that. Then it says, see the option with contrast fabric for clarity. So you can use different colors of fabric. Then you're going to stitch those down. So that's would be your pockets. Then you're going to cut the excess material off, and then you're going to stitch the next one, and then you're going to remove the remaining stabilizer, cut off the excess fabric again, which was cut off the excess fabric in short sides, so the stitch trying not to be okay. So when you're cutting off this portion, you're going to leave these edges here, and that I guess is just for to hold it into the hoop. I'm not sure. So this is where I'm getting lost again. I have not proceeded further. I am going to do this off camera and to make sure that I know what I'm doing before I go ahead and start going any further, because guys, I'm really lost. I am really, really, truly lost. So I wanted to just, this whole video, I know it's long and I know it's just talking about mistakes, but the whole concept of this video is because I want you guys to know what can happen if you don't read your directions. It's so important. Yeah, so if you guys have any comments, please comment down below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That is going to let me know that you guys appreciate these videos. It's going to help me to produce more videos. Let me know if you like this video. Let me know if you liked me explaining what can happen if you don't follow your directions. Yeah, just let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get this video posting so you guys can have a video up, because it has, I believe, been 10 days. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I'm going to go eat dinner. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to proceed with getting the video editing and continue off camera with this. So I familiarize myself enough with the pattern and the design. Because when I do start filming this, I'm going to show you everything. They are going to be videos in several different steps. File 1 will be one video, file 2 will be another video, which will be longer because it is all of this. File 3 will be the pocket, file 4 will be what I just explained to you on creating your little card slot pockets. There is a file 5, and it says that that is just if you want to, let's see, what was that? Where'd it go? It was just a little bit of a different style of construction, that if you wanted to do something, it was for if you wanted to create 2 pockets. It would tell you that you will eliminate, I think, file 4 and just have your 2 pockets instead. It was just a little variation in the pattern. I'm not going to be doing that, so I didn't share that portion, but it is in there so you guys know. I am going to, I will share her link, or not her link, but her Etsy page. And again, I was saying I did get permission from her. I contacted her through the seller contact when I purchased the pattern if I could use this in videos. And please know that all my mistakes have nothing to do with the seller and the way she designed it. It was just me not knowing how to do it. Me being overconfident, thinking I knew what to do. And that's the whole thing of this video. Don't be overconfident, thinking you know what you know how to do. Read your directions. Okay? Okay. So subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Video or information will be included for so you can go to her site and purchase the wallet as well if you want to do this project. It is absolutely a beautiful project. She's got many different styles. She's got bags. She's got zipper pouches. She's got little makeup bags. She's got all kinds of little things. Men's wallet styles, things like that. And again, if you don't want to comment down below, if you want to maybe just comment or ask me things out of the comment section, you can always email me at jsnc18@gmail.com. And I will try, I try to get to my emails within 24 hours. Please definitely, if you have questions, please email me that if you don't want to share those in the comment section. I have had some people make some rather rude emails to me. And those people are blocked from future videos. They're blocked from my channel altogether. And they have been reported. So, yeah. So please tell me what y'all think, and we'll see you all soon. I'm going to go eat dinner, and we will get this video posted to you as soon as I can. Hopefully within the next few hours. See you then. Bye-bye.